My name is Jack Gescheit, Tree Spirit Project founder and consultant for In Defense of Animals. And this lovely young woman is Flair Dawes, the communications director for In Defense of Animals. You can tell by her nifty t-shirt. The home crowd. I feel like I'm at a ball game. So, we have been working together for 2 years. We met, in fact, because of this issue, working on the Tule elk. I was on it for about a year.
I think it's been longer, Jack.
And then I met Flair, who I think organized a demonstration to bring water, to sneak water into the Tule elk, who were dying of thirst and starving because they're trapped inside the Tule Elk Reserve at Point Reyes National Seashore. I see some familiar and friendly faces. Who here has not been to Point Reyes Seashore? Okay, who has been to Point Reyes Seashore, doesn't really know what's going on with elk and cows there? Smaller subset. And who here knows everything? Did you bring 3 friends? Okay, well, the theory is you speak to the choir and then they sing louder. But at the rate I'm going with 1 slide and 400 more to go, you guys okay to hang out to about 8 a.m.? So we're here, you think. By the way, Flair, if you have anything to say, literally take the mic away from me and start talking.
Got it, Jack.
Because otherwise, lady, you know how it is. But it's not personal. I do this with everyone. Ask my mom, ask my brother who's in the audience, but I won't point. So, you think this is about saving the elk at Point Reyes Seashore, but it's actually, for me, the way I frame it is not so much. It's a much bigger issue, and the elk are just caught in the crosshairs. They're the bloody...
And when you have good...
Of guess what industry? Raise your hand if you think you know. Oh, you wise guys, why are you even here? You should be out talking in the street somewhere. Raise your hand if you don't know what the industry is at the seashore. Okay, you and you and you. Thank you so much for coming. This is like a rehearsal for something. So, does everyone know where Point Reyes Seashore is? Raise your hand if you don't know it. So, that's Point Reyes Seashore. I won't tell you where you are right now. I don't know where I am right now. This is the same area, roughly. Artist's rendering. The Tule Elk Reserve we'll be speaking about tonight. 2 other herds, the yellow areas, and all the brown. It's the color of, oh, I don't know what. I'm sorry. This jump, that's vulgar. You should not say shit in public, can I? Yes. Manure. Turds. We have some activists among us. So, I'm really kind of, I always say, know your audience. Talk to people like, okay, you don't know what's going on? You guys all friggin' know all this, so like, but you don't. I know. Okay, so you guys just ignore what I'm going to say for the next 20 minutes. This is for you. What's your first? May I have your first name? Let's see what you just watched.
Kara.
Kara with a C or a K? Excellent. No, don't ask. So, this is the fence. This volleyball net here, or tennis net, up close looks like that. It stretches 3 miles from the Pacific Ocean across to Tomales Bay. It's lovely West Marin. I recommend you go there sometime. It's just 20 miles away. And you get to see these magnificent animals up close, including today if you went. The same fence, he's actually on the wrong side of the fence. He swam around it and came onto the wrong side of what is in a cattle country. If you were to stand on top of the fence, but what kind of a schmuck would do that? We have 2. This is the view, and this is the point. On the on the right side is coastal scrub, a lot of coyote brush, and that can actually get as tall as 5 or 6 feet. you can be an elk or a deer and hide completely in that. On the left side, guess who goes there? I'll give you a hint. Cows. So that's what cattle do to the land. And you guys are mostly vegan or vegan. How do you get your protein? So this is what's going on at Point Reyes Seashore. So for 20 years I lived in San Francisco, and I would drive into the park and I'd see some elk and some cows and not know what was going on. So some of my little talk here before Flair takes the mic away from me is to talk about why that is, that you can drive in there and not see what you're looking at. Elk graze, and there are only about 500 elk in the entire seashore. For every one elk, there are, now it's probably about 4,500 cows. They've actually removed some, longer story, but about at least 9 cows for every elk inside Point Reyes National Seashore. It's a national park. So you say, oh, there's elk and cows as a controversy. There's no elk problem. There's a cow problem. There should not be privately owned, for-profit cattle inside a national park. Yay! I'm really going to be a hog here. I don't know what to do, but I'm open to suggestions. So this is the problem. Clover! It's eco-friendly, whatever the frick that means. And I'm not joking. I'm going to stay on this point because I want to hammer it into your guys' heads more than it already is. You know this, but this is what we face in the world out there. This is why for 20 years, or excuse me, 30 years, because I'm old now, I love animals. I'm looking at a veterinarian. I love animals. And then let's go to Burger King and get a burger. And instead of judging them, I can't judge them because that was me. Because of this crap. The illusion, the advertising industry. And it's what the ranchers are currently doing now to say, oh, we're historic. Whatever that means. Well, actually, it means they've been there 150 years. The elk have been on this land for 10,000 years, as have the native peoples, who also got killed along with the native animals by my ancestors. I'm so proud. But something more accurate of this would be what it actually looks like. And that's actually a photograph of a ranch inside Point Reyes Seashore. Not so eco-friendly, or if you prefer, about as eco-friendly as napalm. So again, that sort of indicates a green field, or better yet, this one. This is another Clover milk ad. They actually source some of their milk out of the park, as does Strauss. Everyone knows Strauss is a good, small, local, organic, family-owned dairy. Well, some of that's true. It's organic and family-owned. You have something to say?
Not to mention Cowgirl Creamery as well. We could call out many different ones, but you've had this
Louder.
crap before. It's the same thing happening everywhere. It's the local kind of bullshit. We've heard about some, regenerative farming. Don't buy it, guys. Don't buy it. I know that, as vegans, we kind of like to try and meet people where they are and compromise, but this is literally going on in our backyard. We live in California. I came personally to California because I believe that this is the most important place in the entire world to help animals and to do vegan activism. I was really inspired when California passed the fur ban. I was like, I got to be there at any cost. And when I came over here, the first animals I went to go and see were the Tule elk at Point Reyes National Seashore. And I was overwhelmed that we could get so close to these beautiful animals, and there they were living in somewhat of their native habitat. And then to hear what's going on in Point Reyes with the cattle ranchers, I couldn't believe that this was happening in California. We are supposed to be better than this. National parks are set up for wild animals, for preservation of wildlife, so that people like us can go and enjoy the wildland as it's supposed to be. It's a desecration, what is happening in the seashore just 20 miles away We have got to fight this. We've got to make a difference here, because if we can't save these animals, what chance do the rest of them have? And I'm talking, this industry, as you know, by being vegan, thank you very much, guys, is one of the most destructive in the whole wide world. It is the cause of the climate crisis. It is the cause of why people are hunting wolves and pressurizing large carnivores off of their native land. It is what is pressurizing wild horses off of their native land. It's all ranching. It's all big ag. It all comes down to this. And we have to fight right here in our local lands to save these wild animals, because otherwise they don't have a chance. In England, they are all gone. I'm sorry, but like 90% of our wildlife has gone. Bears, gone. Hogs, gone. Lots of our native wild animals, they're never coming back. Never. So what you have here is so precious. I've committed my life to fighting for this. I will fight for the rest of my life for this, and I hope that you will join me and recommit to saving the Tule elk.
I love Fleur. It's French for flower, because she's English. On the other hand, I'm Gescheit, which is, what did he just say? Yeah, German, exactly. Do you know what it means? You get bonus points, you get a free t-shirt. Gescheit. Gescheit. Yeah, God bless you, thank you. I've never heard that before. But I feel like a stand-up right now. So, fiction, reality. Fiction, reality. Another photograph, that's actually iRanch at Point Reyes Seashore, one of the ranches. That's what it looks like 6 months of the year when it's not green and rolling green hills. And then let's go a little farther. Sorry, guys. Hello. You could do that. It wouldn't sell as much milk, though, would it? And it's just amazing the power. I used to work in advertising, so the power of that actually convinces people, because we all grew up on it. You see it as a child, and it's just it's a blatant, I was going to use the F word, it's a blatant lie. It's a lie, and it penetrates deeply. It's just like when you go up to somebody and say, oh, you love animals, but why do you eat, burgers or whatever? Well, the same thing. It's just cultural conditioning is so strong, you no longer see reality. It's all through your own filter, just like all you Californian guru types say. It's true. Fleur and I met doing activism, and I'm going to do a scattershot around here. The good news is we're actually winning this fight to get the commercial private ranches out of Point Reyes. Thank you. So working backwards, this is the first time in 45 years since the native elk were reintroduced to their original home all over Marin County and Point Reyes Seashore, where the National Park Service, who's stuck in between us activists demanding real change for the better, and the cattle industry, whom they rent land to. The cattle industry does not own the land at Point Reyes. They sold it for millions of dollars years ago, and they lease it back. For those of you, you didn't know that, Ray, did you? No, never mind, you do know that. So, for the first time in 45 years, the Park Service has said, they've suggested in what's called the NEPA process, NEPA, National Environmental Policy Act, we're going to take down the fence next year. And they put it out for public comment, so it's an actual win. So, for those people who do know this issue but aren't involved maybe, this is a way to work on the cattle industry, to spread the word about the destructive force that Jan was talking about, and Fleur was just talking about, and I'm constantly talking about to anybody who'll listen, and even those who won't, that especially beef and dairy products are just, for humanity, it's suicidal. So how do you address that giant issue? Water pollution is one way. We get to highlight water pollution at Point Reyes Seashore. We activists gathered and spent 20 grand of our own money to do water testing that the Park Service wouldn't do because of, what's the word? Corruption. There it is. And that has made headlines. We had a lot of demonstrations. A lot of people in this room who are part of this have done demonstrations and put their time and energy out there, for which we are very grateful. So, moving forward, the ranchers are going to push back and scream bloody murder like, no, you can't kick us out. We're historic. We're small. We're family. Okay, so does the napalm makers, but you don't belong at Point Reyes Seashore. So they have initiated a process, which is about a year long, because it's a federal bureaucracy. But we activists have created so much of a, shitstorm or a manure storm that they actually have responded. There have been 2 different lawsuits. I'm a plaintiff in one of them. There have been numerous demonstrations. There's huge media attention on this. You can Google this issue and you'll see TV spots, me running my mouth, as you see that I like to do. Flair, who's nicer about it and won't take the microphone.
Hey Jack, I will take the microphone. Yes, ABC 7 News, KPIX, we've been so grateful. CBS News, Los Angeles Times, San Francisco Chronicle, and we are so grateful to you guys for continuing to spread the word, for writing in letters to the editor, op-eds. Anytime that you contact the journalists and you say, I care about this issue, what's happening with the Tule elk? Can you please give us an update? Then you are showing that there is a market for this, and every time you share it on your social media as well, they hear that, and they know that, and they know that we care about the Tule elk. It sends a very strong message, and every article we get is more positive than the last one. So the very first one, we had, Dan Noyes out from ABC 7. He kind of broke the story of the most recent times at Point Reyes. And ever since then, we've just been kind of like really increasing in public awareness. So thank you for what you're doing to talk to your friends and families about the Tule elk and to raise awareness in our local area. That has really been what has turned the tide. So yeah, thank you guys for speaking to that. But yeah, back to the media coverage.
Thank you, Flair. So activism works. Activism works. The ranchers, if we're the Jedi, the Empire, the ranchers are going to fight back now, and they're going to scream bloody murder. Albert Strauss, he's my age, looks like me, a little taller, very gentle, soft-spoken, not a wise guy like I am, and he's now pulling together a community to beg, oh, you'll end Marin food. It's just, I go back and forth between being diplomatic and saying, that's just not true, sir. And the New Yorker in me wants to just unleash, and you are so effing full of Essen. And yet he says this stuff, and he's a respected member of the community, and he's not a bad guy, but he is fighting for he just wants to keep things the same. And he's got methane digesters and a small herd. I've taken a tour of his facility. It's nice as it goes, except for taking baby cows away from mommy cow, and all that stuff you guys know. So if any of these issues appeal to you to work on, we are a rather large now, strong, vocal community making a difference. So the Save the Tule Elk sign over there, which matches this yellow one here, you can sign up on an iPad for In Defense of Animals and join us. We will be in next spring doing more demonstrations inevitably. In fact, I want to do a celebration of the progress we've made so far, which is, again, the Park Service has said, we're going to take down the fence. And it's up to us activists to keep the pressure on so that actually happens. And then it's a whole new set of problems. Then the elk from the reserve are going to drift south onto cattle areas, and the ranchers are going to want to haze them. Haze is a nice way of saying chase away or worse. In the cattle industry, there's a phrase I learned from a biologist called shoot, shovel, and shut up. Think about that. That goes on at night, because there should be far more elk in all 3 herds, including the so-called 2 free-ranging herds, which are not really free-ranging because they border cow country. All cows, all fences, out of Point Reyes Seashore, a national park which is free to all of you guys, no admission fee. It was put near, a large population center in any inner city places where people can go for free into a national park rather than paying $20 entrance to get into, magnificent Yellowstone and Yosemite and such. My idea of a postcard, tactful, nice billboard, right? And it's for these, they are beautiful animals also. I say this is to speak to the larger issue, but you can also, if you're an animal lover, anybody here an animal lover? Anybody here not gone to visit the Tule elk? Raise your hand. Another Kara, you have not visited the Tule elk. Naughty. Excuse me. How wonderful you get to visit them for the first time. You can walk in for free an hour's drive from here and hang out with these beautiful young boys and that big fella. That's my photograph. You can get close enough that you can take pictures like that. Try doing that at Yosemite or Yellowstone, excuse me. It's an amazing place. That's a view in the kind of the southern herd. There's sub-herds inside the reserve looking north to the point, Tomales Point. If for those hikers among us, some of you are still young enough, it's 4.7 miles out to the point, and you'll pass through like 3 different herds of elk and spend a day out there. Especially now in the rainy season, it's actually lovely. Fewer people go. It's just us real animal lovers. So Flair's going to, while I stall, think about what I've left out, because I know I've done some leaving out. How much time do we have? Anybody in control? 15 more minutes, really? Awesome. Anyway, we have, through citizens participating in activism, getting the media attention, 2 lawsuits, constant pressure, they've turned around policy, so its fence comes down, and then the next big thing we're going to push on, and there's going to be even more resistance to it, is to get all the ranches out and to just break them because they don't want to fight us anymore. They're losing money anyway. It's a dying and killer business. And as Flair was saying, this educated, intelligent, caring, self-described environmental community still doesn't get this. So for me, the way to work on these issues in an effective way is with this smaller subgroup which augurs in to the larger issue of cattle are destroying the planet, major source of climate crisis, major source of ocean pollution, major source of water pollution, ocean dead zones, all sorts of bad stuff. But I like to be more specific when my brain works. It's been a long day and my voice is already shot trying to talk in here. And you see, even the signs are tired. Fleur, would you like to add something? Or I can just keep going.
Thanks, Jack. I would like to add that In Defense of Animals doesn't just work to save the Tule elk. We work to save many animals around the globe and locally. So some of our recent campaigns in the Bay Area include saving the cats of the East Bay. So the Regional Park Service was shooting cats in the Bay Area. That was happening on our turf. So, and another issue that was happening, Foster City, down in South San Francisco, was planning to kill geese for pooping, for the simple act of pooping. I mean, just it blows my mind what people will do to animals just for the sake of convenience.
Geese.
Geese, beautiful geese, who you like to feed, who people like to go and see with their grandkids or their kids, and the most peaceful animals, some of the most, loving, peaceful animals, with their babies, by the way, gassing them with their babies. So I just want to let you know that In Defense of Animals works on many issues, and if you sign up to our mailing list, idausa.org/sign-up, idausa.org/sign-up, you or at the table, you will hear about all of these issues. So local issues, national issues, international issues, we cover all of them. And if you hear of any kind of animal abuse going on, we want to know about it. So please get in touch with us, because we launch many campaigns as a result of hearing from people like you. So thank you for what you've done. And please, some questions.
Questions? I'll repeat your question. Go ahead.
I wanted to say that whenever I donate to anything animal rights or anything, I look it up on Charity Navigator, and people should know that In Defense of Animals has the highest possible rating on Charity Navigator.
IDA, In Defense of Animals, has the highest rating on Charity Navigator, meaning it's a safe place to donate to. Money goes to where it's supposed to go. You had a question, sir. I'm wired, so don't...
Sorry, my mistake. I was going to say, just take it to an up moment for a minute. If you guys haven't been to the Presidio, you should go by, because there's a coyote there about 3 o'clock in the morning. They howl. We've also got owls that are great. You can hear those. And we've also got hawks, and all the birds are migrating right now, so they're in the area. So if you want to refresh your spirit, let's say, stop by and check that out. It's pretty nice. Yeah.
I used to live near the Presidio, so it's right here in the city. Another question? Any more?
I think there was one around over there. Yes.
Yes, go ahead. I can. Go ahead. I'll repeat it.
So I love the idea of new defense, but is there a risk of the cattle then moving into the area
So
how do you prevent that?
good question, which is once the fence comes down, what stops the cattle from going up where the elk are and destroying more habitat, eating more coyote brush? Good question. And that will all be worked out in details. One obvious solution we have is to put up what's called wildlife-friendly fencing instead of what is now, it's called woven wire. It's like a mesh, like a tennis court, but it's made of metal, and it's impenetrable both ways, and it's 8 feet tall. Is you string 2 straight wires, non-barbed, one 18 inches off the ground, so little guys, baby deer and elk can walk over it. The other one 36 inches tall, which the big ones can hop over easily, and cows won't go near that stuff. It's a I mean, oh, and I have people saying, don't badmouth the cows. They can't. Well, of course I love cows. They're just victims of industrial abuse. So they're docile and they're domesticated animals, very different than their wild fellow ungulates. So that's how that will be prevented. And eventually, just the ranches have to go. Just the ranches have to go. They really need to go everywhere. But we can, when you go out in the world and speak to people who, they're hunters or they eat beef and they don't care about this stuff, I can convince a hunter in 5 minutes, 4 minutes if I speak, 3 minutes if I speak like a New Yorker, that it's a national park, the ranchers don't own the land, they're the major source of water pollution, soil pollution, air pollution. And they were paid millions of dollars in the 1960s and 70s. And that ends it. I mean, I always tell them, don't take my word for it, check what I've just said. But those are facts, I don't have to exaggerate. And then they say, oh my God, I didn't know that's true. The rancher should obviously be out of a national park. So that's why this issue is so strong and so winnable. And then it's an example. We even have people in our group who still eat meat because they're just stuck in that paradigm. It's another generation. And they get educated and deal with us, another annoying vegan, telling them the truth. So we can even educate people who care but haven't made the full shift to be a future vegan, as Will Tuttle calls it. Any other questions? Please go. You get 2.
So what proportion is a cattle and dairy versus for meat?
What proportion of?
Is there like a marin cattle? I mean, I can't remember.
There's a Marin Agricultural Land Trust, if that's what you're referring to. Malt.
Oh, there's like before I was vegan, we used to have a CSA from a marin meat company. I don't remember what it was called, but we used to like go to,
Well, to answer your immediate question, what percentage in the park is beef versus dairy? I don't know. And in fact, some of the dairies, because it takes more food and more water, which they started draining the water table and having to ship in water. I mean, it really is insane. You're bringing in food and water and hay, and you're just using the real estate of the national park because it's cheap land. They rent for about a third market value. So there's both, and there's some of the dairies, iRanch, for instance, the one I showed you the beat up land on, has been converted now to he's running beef. He moved his dairy cows out. He was running just heifers for a while, young cows that haven't been milked yet, haven't given birth yet, and then now he's running beef cows there. I just found that out, Derek. Make sure you're in the picture you're taking. Do that, I'm impressed, you young people with your smartphones.
We'll do a selfie from here. How about that?
Any other questions? Or just...
I'm going to take it.
You know what?
Okay, we're going to wrap it up now because I'm getting the... You're very welcome for what we do. We feel passionate about what we do, and thank you for your support and for your attention and for spreading the word. We're at that booth near Save the Elk there with the t-shirts up. We can answer more questions, and you can sign an iPad and get emails about future talks, all the things In Defense of Animals is doing, including this campaign. And I'm going to let Flair wrap it up because I'm a hog.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We really appreciate your support. You've been an awesome audience. Please continue to spread the word for the Tule elk. Thank you.
You're such a lovely audience. We'd love to take you home with us. Good night, everyone.
Jack, run for state senator. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not corrupt enough. And I also love using F-bombs. So no politics for me.
You'll fit in with the Republicans.
Not yet.
No, but seriously, we've got to chip out now. But thank you so much. And this is...
Christy, even though she's out of...
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.